If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is VSiN PrimeTime. Live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Hour 2 of VSiN Primetime here on a Monday evening. 12 Major League Baseball games underway. Game we're watching here on the main screen, Reds and Pirates. We've also got Red Sox and the New York Mets going on right now. Still to come tonight, Matt, we've got our VSiN Primetime game of the night. An interesting one between the Dodgers, the slumping Dodgers, and the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Marlins up 5-3 right now on the Chicago Cubs. That Red Sox-Mets game we mentioned after 4. Red Sox leading 3-1 in that one. And the Orioles, Matt, fresh off of a sweep at the hands of the Washington Nationals, firing their manager, Brandon Hyde. They have struck first against the Milwaukee Brewers as they lead 1-0 as that one headed to the bottom of the second inning there in Milwaukee. So busy night of baseball. We'll keep you updated. We'll give you some thoughts on the game still to come. And the Cardinals, as you mentioned, the red-hot Cardinals, they also strike first. They get the first run of the game against the Detroit Tigers as we get an RBI single there in that opening inning, and it came off of the bat of Brendan Donovan. So 1-0 Cardinals against the Tigers in St. Louis. Been to Busch Stadium?
Yes, I have been to Busch Stadium. Not one of my favorite stadiums.
No?
It's obviously one of the oldest in MLB. Actually, the new Busch Stadium. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah. Drove right by it on my drive out to Vegas.
I've actually been on the outside of the new Busch Stadium. I've not been in it, but I went to the old Busch Stadium.
Yeah.
The old relic that was the AstroTurf.
Oh, yeah.
Called AstroTurf and
all those
cement.
cookie-cutter stadiums.
Yeah, very similar to Cincinnati and Pittsburgh and all those. The new Busch Stadium, I was thinking, I was on the outside. I was there for the NCAA tournament in St. Louis, and my hotel was 1 block from Busch Stadium. So, no, I have not seen a baseball game there. But I have been outside the new, but it does look pretty nice. I've always wanted to go to this Pittsburgh stadium.
Oh, it's awesome!
Everybody,
my favorite stadium.
Ron Boyles, professional sports bettor, was part of our Circa College Hoops Challenge. He lives in Pittsburgh. He goes to a lot of Pirates games, and everyone raves about how great this stadium is in Pittsburgh. I'd like to get out there at some point. I have been to the new Cincinnati Reds Stadium.
How's that?
That's a great one.
Great American ballpark.
In terms of the West Coast, San Francisco and San Diego. Giants and Padres both have awesome stadiums, great setups. And who knows? Dodger Stadium is still one of my favorites as well. Even though it's old, you have to go back to, I'm going to guess, Dodger Stadium had to be built somewhere around 1960.
I think that.
I still love it. Chavez Ravine, that's our game of the night, by the way, the primetime game of the night, D-backs at Dodgers. But I still love Dodger Stadium, and the Yankees are going to be playing the Dodgers there in late June or late May, early June. I think it's going to be May 30th, June 1st. The Yankees are going to be in L.A. against the Dodgers. Rematch of the World Series. Might try to make it out there for that. Tim, I was going to say, of all the baseball stadiums, how many have I not been to? It's probably a decent number because I have not been to the new stadium in Miami.
I haven't either. I went to the old one. That was a dump.
Yeah, not going to miss that. It's not on my things to do list either. I've never said I want to go to all the baseball stadiums. I've been to almost all the NFL stadiums, several NBA arenas. I would say there's probably 8 to 10 Major League Baseball stadiums I've not been to, including Miami, including Pittsburgh, and I'm
trying to think of. I've been to double digits, but
the new Phillies stadium have not been there.
It's all right.
Yeah,
Citizens Bank. It's fine. They're all kind of lumped together there.
Tigers
in Philadelphia
Stadium. I've not been there.
I would like to get there.
Went to the old Tiger Stadium. So I love the old stadiums like Fenway, Wrigley. The old Tiger Stadium was great. I have not been to the new one.
Yeah, so I was trying to think. I've been to both Chicagos. I've been to D.C. I've been to Baltimore. Been to Philly. Been to both New Yorks. Been to Kansas City, but that was pre-renovation, so I think it's nicer now. But I went to Kaufman. It was fine. Been to Milwaukee. So, yeah. Been to Arizona. We went down there, me and a couple of buds. We did a little – that's the fun thing about living out here, Matt, is I've done that a couple of times. You
quick trips.
Wake up. I did this. I woke up, flew to Arizona, day game, flew back home that night. It was great.
Make a bunch of quick trips out here, catch West Coast baseball games. It is a pretty cool thing. It's easy to do.
I might do that. I'm actually thinking about it right now. I have yet to go to San Francisco. Yeah, I was just looking at it. They got a day game late June. I might pop out to San Francisco, catch a day game, fly on back.
You ought to.
All right.
What's your favorite stadium?
As a favorite stadium or favorite baseball stadium?
Baseball. We're talking
PNC,
baseball.
Pittsburgh.
Is it?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, San Diego's not far behind. I was blown away. I loved San Diego. I think everything that went into it. I think as for just the stadium itself, I would say PNC. However, I'm with you. I like old stadiums. Fenway's great. Wrigley Field's great. Wrigley on a Friday afternoon, it's hard to beat.
Wrigley's my favorite. Fenway's going to be up there. I would say of all the new stadiums, Petco Park in San Diego is my favorite.
Yeah, that is.
But, again,
really nice.
we're talking about some of the newer stadiums I have not been to. I have not been to the Coors Field.
I haven't been there
Colorado.
either.
I have not been to the new stadium in Seattle. Would love to go up there and catch a game at some point. Anyway, the game of the night, the Dodgers trying to bounce back from a weekend sweep at the hands of the Angels. Tim, that's one of those spots on Sunday where I felt like Dodgers are the number one power-rated team in baseball. They dropped 2 in a row at home. They got Tony Gonsolin going, who's a solid starting pitcher. He's not one of your best, but Gonsolin actually developed a blister, and he had blood on his finger early in the game, and he got lit up by the Angels. Taylor Ward hit a homer. Before you knew it, the Dodgers were down. I had him on a round robin. I only bet round robins in baseball. Typically, if I like some favorites, I'll put them on a round robin, play 3s and 4s. And the only one I lost was the Dodgers, laying a price against the Angels. I decided not to put the Dodgers run line. So I just want the Dodgers to win the game. And they couldn't get it done. They got swept by the Angels. I told JVT this last night. He's a diehard Angels fan. When the Angels had Trout and Ohtani, they lost 10 games in a row. I think 10 in a row to the Dodgers. Trout's out of the lineup. Ohtani's playing for the Dodgers, and now the Angels sweep him. How does that make sense?
Baseball, man. Yeah, nothing makes sense in baseball.
It doesn't. That's why baseball can be hard to handicap sometimes. But I would be very cautious if you're thinking, I'm going to bet on the Dodgers to bounce back tonight, because they were not playing good baseball over the weekend. Their pitching staff is depleted. They just, by the way, just changed their starting pitcher for tonight. It is not Landon Knack. He has been scratched. And Dreyer is the new starting pitcher for the Dodgers at about a $1.40 favorite, so we'll have to do a little bit of research on him quickly. We do have a pitching change on our game of the night. So the D-backs are going to go with Brandon Pfaadt, and Dodgers are going with Dreyer as Landon Knack has been scratched.
Jack Dreyer will get the start for Landon Knack, as you just mentioned there. So the pitching change for the Los Angeles Dodgers. John Jastremski, who is a huge Yankee fan, I know he was thrilled about the weekend. Can I ask you this?
As the Yankees on that round robin last night. That was a good win.
You're a Yankee fan.
Uh-huh.
I didn't get the vitriol towards Juan Soto. I mean, I get it. You're not used to people leaving.
It's New York mentality.
I mean, he played for you for
How can
one
you leave
season.
The Yankees?
Why are you doing? Hey, I mean, he got $1 gajillion to go to the Mets.
Will Hill and I talked about this Friday night.
Yeah.
We're both Yankees fans. I would never boo Juan Soto. He played 1 year. He gave the Yankees his best. They got to the World Series. He carried that offense at times in the postseason. He was great. Who's going to turn down $765 million?
Not me.
I'm not going to boo the guy when he comes back, but, that's a lot of New Yorkers feel that way. And I'll tell you what, Mets fans are not thrilled by the way Juan Soto is playing right now. So,
and I would say what the Yankees did to replace his production for the money is actually panned out.
How about Cody Bellinger with the grand slam last night?
Right, yeah.
Paul Goldschmidt. Yankees are fine without Juan Soto.
Yeah, so I talked about it a little bit on over the weekend. I understood it from the sense of it's New York and the Yankees aren't used to people leaving when they want to keep them. But that was I enjoyed Juan Soto his embrace of it. He had some smiles and just kind of playing into it. He played the villain role. But
you have to.
We're going to talk to John Jastremski here in a little bit. We're also obviously going to talk a lot about Knicks and Pacers, Matt. I do want to get a quick thought on the Western Conference as well. The Oklahoma City Thunder, I know a lot of people were turned off a bit about the struggles that they had against the Denver Nuggets. I was on OKC yesterday. It just felt to me there was an adjustment in the line. You knew Aaron Gordon, if he played, which we didn't know at the time when I was on the air yesterday morning, but if he did play, you weren't going to get nearly 100%. And the depth we talked about. I
thought he played well. Aaron Gordon played well.
I mean, whatever he had going on in that groin, whatever injection he took, I give him credit for toughing it out. But we talked about it a lot. This team, this Denver Nuggets team, just didn't have the depth. And how about Alex Caruso? He was phenomenal from a defensive standpoint. And Jalen Williams, I talked about this on the show on Sunday with Matt Moore. You expected some sort of bounce back, and he was very strong yesterday as they pulled away. So when you look at Oklahoma City, is this number too big? How are you looking initially to maybe attack the Western Conference Finals?
Yeah, you're talking about the Jalen Williams from Santa Clara. He was great, especially at the end of the first half yesterday. I bet OKC money line. Could have laid the points, Tim. Didn't have to worry about the money line, but I laid it. And that was easy with OKC. This series is not going to be easy.
No.
You knock out the Nuggets, but you do it in 7 games. We'll talk more about this in depth here. I'm not all that impressed by what the Thunder did in this series because the Nuggets are basically playing with 3 guys. And Jamal Murray shot 1 for 8 from 3 in Game 7. Christian Brown, 2 for 8. The Joker was really the only player who showed up and played well in Game 7. That's why he ended up having a 32-point blowout. But again, I'll talk a little bit more about this. I think OKC probably survives in this series, but the dog is live. I'm going to say that. I think the Timberwolves are live as underdogs here.
Hey, folks, make sure to take your betting to the next level with First Bet. Whether it's Santa Anita Gulfstream or the Saratoga Racecourse, First Bet puts the action at your fingertips. Use the code VSiN200 to score 20% rebate on all your wagers. 1stbet.com.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Watching the Reds and Pirates game. What do you think of that Reds Hawaiian shirt there, Matt?
Well, when I think Cincinnati Reds, I don't think Hawaiian shirts. But that one looks okay.
It does look. That doesn't look as egregious as. And then you got a dude sitting next to him with a nice long beard there. So Reds and Pirates on a Monday night at PNC Park. You never know what you're going to get. That's Matt Youmans. I'm Tim Murray. Let's head to our progressive guest line and welcome in John Jastremski from the Ringer Podcast Network. His podcast is New York, New York, and it was quite the weekend in New York City as you had Yankees and Mets, the return of Juan Soto, and, of course, the Knicks taking care of business against the Boston Celtics on Friday night. No Game 7, and now you get to sit back and bask in the victory. JJ, it's a good time to be a New Yorker, and, this is the rivalry. It's funny. We talk so much about, Celtics and Knicks. That's not really a rivalry. This is the rivalry. Knicks and Pacers, the 90s, the early 2000s, last year. So let's just look at the matchup. We saw it last year, but you got some new pieces. Karl Anthony Towns, obviously, now on the Knicks. You've got Mikal Bridges, who played well just a series ago. They're the slight favorite, around minus 145 to minus 160. Early blush thought of this series, JJ, starting at Madison Square Garden on Wednesday night.
Fellas, can't wait to watch the Knicks. and the Pacers, you nailed it. It brings me back to Reggie Miller. It brings me back to John Starks. It gives me all the nostalgia, all the vibes. And let's be honest, there's a little payback in order for the Knicks because last year they lost a 7-game series to the Pacers, a series that, for what it's worth, I don't think they would have lost if OG Anunoby didn't hurt his hammy in game 2. But the dirty little secret is both of these teams are much better than what they were a year ago. So the vibes are great. New York City is off the rails right now, and I expect this to be one hell of a war between these two teams.
What do you think is going to be the difference for the Knicks? Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby banged up last year when they went down in 7 games. I've always felt Brunson could be the alpha dog for a team. It could be, a top 10 like player in the association. I know that hasn't always been the thought in New York, especially when he was signed, when he's brought over from Dallas. But do you think Brunson gets this team over the top in this series, or who else would it be?
That's a great question, Matty. Look, I think Brunson's the best player in the series, and he is one of the most clutch athletes you're ever going to see. At the end of these games, he's fearless. He embraces the moment. He's not shying away from the stage at all. And, this is a guy who, let's be honest, people have been doubting him his entire life. I mean, he was a second-round pick. I don't think anybody, and I liked him out of Villanova, I don't think anybody on planet Earth thought he was going to be this good an NBA player and be the number 1 player on a Final Four team in New York City trying to get to the NBA Finals. I almost look at Brunson, guys, as a given in this series. I really do. I think Brunson's going to play extremely well. I think it comes down to Karl Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges. They, to me, are the two guys that I look at from a Knicks standpoint and say, are they going to show up and are they going to play at a high level? I thought Bridges was outstanding in the series against the Celtics, and Karl Anthony Towns has had some monstrous regular season games against the Indiana Pacers, and I think he can go flat out hammo in this particular series. I think he can be a guy that's scoring 25, 30 points a game if he's engaged, if he's, doing what he should be doing with his skill set. He's the guy I'm watching, guys. I think if Towns is on his game, the Knicks are not losing this series.
John Jastremski joining us here, courtesy of our Progressive Guest Line, his podcast, New York, part of the Ringer Podcast Network, and he talks all things New York. Of course, we'll get to some Yankees here in just a moment off of their busy weekend against the New York Mets, who are playing right now and currently trailing to the Boston Red Sox 3-1. John, when you look at what we've seen so far through the first round against Detroit, which was maybe a little more tight than probably people expected there in New York, and then to be a plus 550 dog and to win the series against Boston. Look, I've said it on the airwaves. I don't shy away from it. I was dead wrong. I thought Boston was going to cruise to that series. So what, in your eyes, has surprised you the most about the performance of the Knicks, and what do you think can carry over from those first 2 series into this series against the Pacers?
There were questions, fellas, about this team's toughness going into the postseason. Even though they were a tough team last year, they changed their identity. Randall got traded. DiVincenzo got traded. Bridges was kind of underwhelming in the regular season. There have always been questions about Karl Anthony Towns and his toughness. But I think their toughness and their ability to just flat out execute in the fourth quarter of these games, you saw it in the Detroit series and you saw it in the Boston series where they were down 20 points, came back and won. They were down 18 points, come back and won. Game 4 looked like Boston had taken complete control of the series after a dominant Game 3, and the Knicks go and have their best third in the fourth quarter of the year. I think the ability to just execute as well as they have, guys, at the end of these games, that to me is really what surprised me with this group. I didn't know they had that in them. It's something that I haven't necessarily seen against the best teams throughout this regular season, but that to me has been the difference for the Knicks. People get on Tibbs. Oh, he plays his guys too many minutes. Oh, they're going to be burnt out. He's not the coach to take them over the top. Well, if you watch the first 2 series, his teams have been better conditioned and they've been better in the fourth quarter. So that to me has been the big surprise.
JJ, how about Brunson and Tyrese Halliburton? I think with Halliburton, you don't always know what you're going to get. With Brunson, I think you do know what you're always going to get. And that's another reason I like the Knicks in this series. I was going to ask you, how would you rather bet this? You look at DraftKings right now. Tim and I talked about this earlier. Knicks-Pacers series over 5.5 games, minus 170. Or would you play Knicks in 7 at 4-1 odds, plus 400?
Ooh, great question. I like the Knicks in 7 for the price. I definitely think this is going to be a lengthy series. Indiana's got a really, really good home court advantage. And let's not forget, guys, the Knicks lost every game they played in that building a year ago. And in 2 of the games, they got their absolute doors blown off. So I am not going to be stunned in the least if this is a 7-game series. And you give me plus 400 basically is the price. I'm all over that. I like playing the Knicks for game 1 and to win the series and flat out even money. That's a bet I'm going to make going into Wednesday night. I lean taking them with the 4 or the 4.5 in the first game, but I kind of like those. I do these a lot in the NBA postseason where I can take a team to win the series and take them to win game 1. It's not a great price at minus 105, but I'm rolling with that. So to answer your question, I'll take that plus 400.
Yeah, it's an interesting angle, and I've done that certainly before. And look, sometimes it can bite you in the rear end if a team like the Pacers. Well, I thought the Pacers would lose game 1 to the Cavs, and that obviously didn't happen. And then they went on to win the series. But the double result right now, Knicks to win game 1 and to win the series is plus 120 at DraftKings. John Jastremski joining us here. Final one for me on this series, JJ. You look at Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Sometimes when you think back to when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, I placed a bet on the Chiefs, but I also placed a bet on Mahomes to win MVP because if the Chiefs are going to win, Mahomes is going to win MVP. Jalen Brunson, you're getting a couple extra, pennies here on him to win MVP. If they win this series, can you see another Nick winning Eastern Conference Finals MVP?
I mentioned his name, Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
I think if there's somebody other than Jalen Brunson who's going to go and win that award, it would be Towns dominating inside against a team that, to me, fellas, doesn't have a great interior presence.
Right.
That's why I think it's kind of set up for Towns to go and have some monstrous games in this series. And, Timmy, I get the point. Listen, odds are if the Knicks are going to win, Jalen Brunson is going to have to be great. But you're asking me, hey, what scenario could play out where somebody else wins the award? Don't think it's Bridges. Don't think it's Anunoby because they're just too up and down offensively. Bridges with a 3-point shot. Anunoby is very much a good game, bad game offensive player. Towns is the guy, though. If he's engaged, he could have 6 or 7 monstrous games.
How about the Mets and the Yankees? What'd you make of that series in the Bronx? Yankees win 2 of 3. Juan Soto off to a slow start. Very quiet weekend. 1 for 10 at the plate. Polar Bear Pete with a wild throw to home plate last night to blow the game open for the Yankees.
So, Matty, a lot has been made about plan B for the Yankees, pivoting from Juan Soto. And listen, I was not particularly happy when the Yankees lost Juan Soto to the Mets. I was very bummed out about it. Let's call it like we see it. Plan B so far has been a resounding Yankee success.
Yes.
Resounding. Max Fried has been the best pitcher in baseball. And without Garrett Cole, I don't know where this pitching staff would be without him. Paul Goldschmidt has turned back the clock, and he's hitting well over 300. He's hitting the ball hard. He's helping out dramatically against left-handed pitching. He's had big situational hits. The guy is a winner. I mean, I'm so happy to have him on the Yankees. And Bellinger's finally getting going. He had the grand slam last night, and his May has been a polar opposite of what he performed at in the month of April. So that to me in Yankee land is what you're thrilled about. They have issues. Their back end of the rotation needs some help. Some of their younger players have run very hot and cold, but the division stinks. And they have Aaron Judge. As long as they can keep that guy healthy and Fried at the top of the rotation, they're in great shape to win the AL East. And I think in Yankee land, you're feeling great. And in Met land, listen, he's going to hit. He's really good. But when are we going to see Juan Soto look like Juan Soto?
Yeah.
Still waiting.
He's John Jastremski, a man who does it all there in New York City. JJ, appreciate it, man.
Guys, anytime. Enjoy the rest of your night. And we'll see if the Red Sox cooperate for me. Take care.
His podcast is New York, New York.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
It is VSiN PrimeTime here on a Monday night. John Jastremski, easy for me to say. Appreciate his insight there as he seemed confident but wasn't racing to lay the chalk for this series. He was looking more the double result, which, always is a little tricky to do, but plus 120 right now if you think the Knicks win game 1, which they're a 4.5 point favorite, and win the series. Matt, right now, have you gone in on Knicks in 7 or just contemplating at this point in time?
I'm probably going to bet Knicks in 7. I was just searching around for find the best price out there in the market because the books have been a little bit slow in putting up prices on the exact result in the finals today. So it's Monday, Tim. All these prices are going up this afternoon, tonight. I will bet that tonight, hoping to get the Knicks at right around 4-1 to win in 7. I like your bet too. I'm going to bet this over 5.5 games, like John said, and you and I talked about previously. Everything points to a long series between the Pacers and the Knicks. It was a year ago, and I think it's going to be the same way again.
Yeah, right now, minus $1.70 is the current price. I know the price, I think, opened minus 165. And it's worth, looking around. Stations here, Chuck Esposito's shop, I think they're around minus $2. So DraftKings, from what I've seen, is the best price on the amount of games played at minus $1.70. Quick update from Major League Baseball. It is a busy night on the diamond as we have 24 teams in action. And the game that we've got on the main screen here, the Cincinnati Reds, who had a sweep of the Cleveland Guardians over the weekend. They lead the Pittsburgh Pirates 2-1. The Cubs and Marlins, that's where the action's at, Matt. 7-6 Cubs. They just put up a 4 spot in the top of the 6th after the Marlins put up 4 runs in the bottom of the 5th. So you got a first 5 winner from the Marlins scoring 4 runs in the bottom of the 5th. And then right after that, the Cubs are able to plate 4 runs. So 7-6 is the lead there for the Chicago Cubs. And the game that you had contemplated playing was Boston and New York. 3-1 right now is the score. The Red Sox have that 3-1 lead. They played a 2 in the first and another in the second, Matt. And I believe we just saw Juan Soto at the plate, and he is 1 for 3 so far tonight. So keeping our eyes on what's going on across Major League Baseball. A team that we did discuss earlier in the show, Matt, the Detroit Tigers. Best record in the American League. Best record in all of baseball, right?
31-16. That's 66%. And Tigers' best record in baseball. What a time to be a Detroit sports fan. If you're Derek Stevens or anybody who's a fan of the Tigers, Lions, Pistons.
Pistons are feisty.
Year. But let's stick with the Tigers' best record in baseball. And the Lions, who tied for the best record in the NFL, 15-2. Actually, if you think back to last season, the Lions had a point differential of plus 222. The Chiefs, who were 15-2, had a point differential of plus 59. But the Lions, obviously, 15-2, tied for the best record in the NFL. And I think going to take a bit of a step back this year. They lost both coordinators, and it's just hard for things to go. When you have a season where everything tends to go right, it's tough for that to happen back-to-back in the NFL.
Bounced in the first round or second round of the playoffs, the divisional round, to the Washington Commanders as the Commanders went up there and were dominant in that performance, putting up a 40 spot on the Detroit Lions. So over the weekend, Matt, I had Warren Sharp on the show. And, one thing that we know every year, and I know there's lots of people out there, what's the big deal about the schedule? We always know who they're going to play. But what Warren does, and a handful of others, but I think Warren does an exceptional job at it, is analyze the rest advantages or disadvantages that are on the schedule. And he unearthed something pretty unique, Matt, regarding the Detroit Lions and their schedule this year. It is the 3rd most difficult schedule in the NFL based off of win totals. However, the way it is structured does give the Lions some unique advantages. This was Warren Sharp on the VSiN Weekend Morning Line breaking down the Lions' schedule. The Detroit Lions are fascinating because their schedule's hard. Right? They have the 3rd most difficult schedule based off of win totals here in Vegas, something that you always point out. But when you look at the layout of their schedule, Warren, you unearth something that is pretty unique about the Detroit Lions. So very challenging schedule as from an opponent standpoint, but the way their schedule is laid out, there's some unique aspects to it.
Extremely unique, as in has never happened before in NFL history. The Detroit Lions are going to play 5 games against teams that are coming off of Monday Night Football, which is unheard of. It's never happened in NFL history before. They get the benefit of that 1 extra day. It's a little bit more than a day, right? Because if they play it Sunday at 1 o'clock, their opponent doesn't play Monday at 1 o'clock. They play Monday night, and then they come back home Tuesday morning when the Lions have been resting up and rehabbing their injuries all evening Sunday and all day on Monday already. So that is a minor edge, but it's a minor edge that's compounded because they're doing it 5 times this season. In addition, they're going to be playing 3 other teams off of rest disadvantages as well. So the Lions have rest advantage in 8 games this year. Wow. That is the most we've ever seen in NFL history before. So they have a benefit that no other team throughout the entirety of the NFL history has been able to get, and that's what the Detroit Lions are dealing with this season. In addition, the difference for the Lions, Tim, as compared to what we talked about the San Francisco 49ers a second ago, is that unlike the San Francisco 49ers, who the entire NFC West has decent rest edges, the NFC North does not have solid rest edges. The NFC North has brutal rest edges, with the exception of the Detroit Lions. If you look at the rest edges, the games with rest edges, the Lions have 8, as I just mentioned. No other team in the NFC North has more than 4. The Lions have disadvantage of rest in just 1 game. Every single other team in the NFC North is 4 games or more that they have rest disadvantage. So the Lions are +7. No other team in terms of games with rest edges, no other team in the NFC North is even above 0. So the Lions are set up really well. Yes, their schedule is hard, and that's because they won so many games and because the NFC North plays a challenging schedule. But the NFL did give them a lot of benefits in terms of winning some of these games with rest that they did not give to any of the other teams in the NFC North.
So as Warren pointed out, Matt, the number 1 net rest edge in the league this year goes to the Detroit Lions at +13. And what was interesting is not only do they have the +13 rest advantage, which is the 5th best rest advantage in the last 25 years based off of Warren Sharp's breakdown. If you compare it to the rest of the NFC North, Green Bay is -2, Minnesota is -3, and Chicago is hold on. Chicago's not great either. I can't find that. Oh, here it's -4. So everyone else is at a rest disadvantage. So while they have a challenging schedule,
it's very challenging.
They play 8 teams coming off of Monday Night Football. That's wild.
I know. That is wild. I can't recall a situation like that. Now, with the Lions, I'm going to look at more of the big picture with the schedule and say, yeah, that should be a minor advantage for the Lions, but I am expecting this team to take a step back, Tim, from 15-2 to probably worse than 12-5. And first of all, look at the first 10 games on the Detroit Lions schedule. You ready for this? Mm-hmm. Here are the road games. Green Bay, Baltimore, that's weeks 1 and 3. Bengals, week 5. Kansas City, week 6. How about Philadelphia, Washington and Philadelphia back-to-back weeks 10, week 11. Look at the first 10 games on the schedule for the Lions. Packers, Bears, Ravens, Browns, Bengals, Chiefs, Bucks, Vikings, Commanders, and Eagles. But again, those road games, Green Bay, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Washington, and Philadelphia, is about as difficult as it gets. And when you're trying to replace your 2 coordinators, Ben Johnson, the OC, and also replacing your defensive coordinator, who's now the head coach of the Jets. You got coordinators who have to be the head coaches of the Bears and the Jets. Yep. And you're going to have your hands full, I think, getting off to a hot start here. I could see things going the other way for the Lions in terms of this being a team that might be around the 500 mark about halfway through the season.
You know, it's pretty wild to think about this. The Detroit Lions, one of the highest power-rated teams in the NFL, Matt, they are right now at DraftKings an underdog in 3 of their first 6 games.
Sure.
And one of those games that they're a favorite in, it's by 1.5 points at Cincinnati. So you're talking about a week 1 underdog against the Green Bay Packers, a week 3 underdog as well, and then week 4, you're a 1.5 point favorite. So, yeah, the schedule is challenging, but unique aspect to it is that they do have this rest advantage. Best in the NFL at +13. Everyone else in the NFC North is sitting at a disadvantage. Green Bay, Chicago, and Minnesota. I do want to get to Minnesota's schedule a little bit. I thought one of the wrinkles to their schedule with them playing the back-to-back games in Europe, I thought was actually an advantage for them based off of the 2 opponents that they're playing. An advantage to you guys, the bettors out there. If you're a VSiN Pro subscriber, you get our betting splits as part of that VSiN Pro subscription, Matt. $9.99. Check out what we have to offer for that first month. You can check it out for as little as $9.99. Head on over to VSiN.com/subscribe. And yesterday, if you like to fade the public, you would have seen that everybody seemed to be on. The Denver Nuggets, 75% of bets around there at Circa and DraftKings. Lo and behold, the Thunder, an easy win and cover. We'll get some best bets for you, as well as a thought on that Minnesota Vikings schedule. It's VSiN Primetime.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
It is VSiN Primetime here on this Monday evening. Lou Finicaro going to join us top of the hour. He'll help us break down the Stanley Cup semifinals, Stanley Cup playoff semifinals. The Western Conference Finals starts on Wednesday night. Oilers and Stars. Eastern Conference Finals tomorrow. The defending Stanley Cup champion, Florida Panthers, winning last night, Matt, in emphatic fashion, 6-1 over the Toronto Maple Leafs. I was on the air yesterday, so I laid 8 with the Thunder, which was never in doubt, but I got a little cute, and I did money line with the Thunder and an alt under 6.5 goals in Leafs and Panthers, thinking, there's no way you'll see 7 goals, until we did see 7 goals. And a scoreless first period as well.
Yeah, you always have you always have that chance for empty net goals at the end too, which
5-1, then they pulled the goalie.
Have to factor into your handicapping as well. Well, I played OKC on the money line in Game 7. Tim could have laid the 8 with no sweat. They win by 32. I just didn't. I thought the Nuggets were way too thin, especially with the Aaron Gordon injury, to go on the road and win that Game 7. Turned out to be a walkover, a runaway. For the Thunder, but I don't think that's going to be the case in the series with the T-Wolves. Anyway, back to the NFL. Warren Sharp's got some great info on or some great angles in the way he digs into the NFL schedules, and you had him on your show on Saturday. What he said about the Detroit Lions, really interesting. I had a writer from Chicago contact me last week and ask, what I was going to do with the Bears win total, because I've been betting the Bears under their win total almost every year.
Really?
And for the last 5 years, maybe the last 10 years. I think the Bears probably stayed under a win total 8 of the last 10 years. But anyway, last year was one of my favorite bets on the board. Bears under 8.5 or Bears under 9. I said, you know what? I'm not going to be betting the Bears under the win total this year. And here's part of the reason why, Tim. I think the Lions and the Vikings are going to be slipping a little bit in the NFC North.
Well, the Minnesota Vikings, Matt, I thought this was an interesting wrinkle to their schedule that was released last Wednesday. And, we just talked about the rest edges that these teams have or don't have, and the Vikings are one of the teams in the negatives. But, Matt, when you look at the schedule, we knew that they would be playing the Steelers and the Browns. Both of those places, especially if you get them in December, are a unique challenge, especially for a dome team like Minnesota. I actually think it's a big advantage for Minnesota that they play both of these teams back-to-back weeks in Europe. So they go to Ireland to face the Steelers, and they go to Cleveland, or they go to London to face the Browns. So they're staying over in Europe, Matt. And they get both of these games that were supposed to be on the road. They're losing no home games, and they get to play the Steelers and the Browns both in Europe. So I actually think the Minnesota Vikings are a bit fortunate with how this schedule broke down for them, at least in that little structure, because you think about a young quarterback like J.J. McCarthy going to Pittsburgh in, let's say, middle of December in the elements. I know he's a Michigan kid, a Michigan quarterback, but that could have been a tricky challenge. And instead, they get both of their games over in Europe. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, think about this, Matt. The Minnesota Vikings were 14-3, and their win total is 8.5.
Right. That's a major slip to say that the Vikings would slip back to 8-9. But hey, man, I don't know how J.J. McCarthy's going to pan out in this. What's going to be his rookie season? I think he's going to have some problems. And you know what? You get the Browns in London. The week after you get the Steelers in Ireland, you can play the Browns in Timbuktu, and that would be a fortunate break on your schedule.
Yeah.
The Browns are going to be the worst team, one of the worst teams in the league. I think their quarterback situation is a mess. But I really think with this whole Aaron Rodgers situation, Rodgers is going to sign with the Steelers. He's got some personal issues. Apparently, he did not want to sign with the Steelers, then miss camp because of personal issues, and then get criticized for missing camp. So he's just going to wait to sign until he gets all this out of the way. Vikings are going to play the Steelers and the Browns back-to-back. Rodgers, I think, is going to have one good year left. With the Browns, who knows what you're going to get, who's going to start. Kenny Pickett, the favorite to start. Who knows where the Browns might be by that week.
Four quarterbacks, Matt, that could be the starter for the Browns.
I really think the Vikings, one reason why Kevin O'Connell was entertaining the idea that, Aaron Rodgers might be an option, and they were talking with Rodgers, is O'Connell knows that J.J. McCarthy's in for some tough times in his rookie year, and he's not quite ready. At least he's not ready to win. And Kevin O'Connell worked all sorts of magic with Sam Darnold last season. And we saw it fade in the last regular season game and then the playoff game when he turned into a pumpkin. I firmly believe that O'Connell is a little bit concerned, or maybe a lot concerned, that this team's not going to be able to win at a high level with J.J. McCarthy at quarterback as a rookie.
You look at what we've got over in the NFL for this series and or for this division, Matt, and it's pretty wide open right now when you look at the futures market for the NFC North. Lions plus 140, Packers plus 260, Vikings 4-1, Bears plus 425. It's pretty comparable to the NFC West, where the Niners are the favorite at plus 145, Rams are 2-1, Seahawks plus 475, and Cardinals plus 475. I think those two divisions really, it's more so in my opinion, the North. It would not surprise me if any one of those four teams won the division.
It probably surprised me a little bit if the Bears won it. Right? It would surprise you a little bit.
I mean, of the four, yeah, that would be the most surprising. But you think about that, situation. I wouldn't say I'm a huge believer in Caleb Williams, but I believe in the talent that he has, and I think
I believe in
the
his coaching now
and the weapons that are around him. I mean, they've once again for a second straight year, man, the Bears put a ton of capital from the draft on the offense, right? They went out and they got Colston Loveland with their first-round pick. Second-round pick, they got Luther Burden out of Missouri, who many thought, heading into last year was a first-round talent. Sure. So you've got a wide receiver core of DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Luther Burden. They added a couple other pieces, Devin Duvernay, which is, a nice little, speedy option. Olamia Zacchaeus out of Washington. So they really upgraded the offense yet again, added more offensive linemen. So it should be, things looking up, no doubt. And that's why I think you're hesitant to go immediately to the under on the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I'm not going to bet the Bears under. I am not going to bet it under this year. So the personnel is upgraded, like you just detailed. But the coaching is going to make a big difference here, too. Did you read the story or see the info that came out about a week ago about how Caleb Williams did not know how to watch film?
No. I saw the story that made the rounds that he really wanted to go to Minnesota. I'm
talking about here. Caleb Williams admitted that he did not know how to watch film. He would just go in, click on the machine, and just watch the games, watch the replays. He didn't have any coaches sitting down with him, showing him this is what you got to look for, this is what you got to look for. I think it was Chase Daniels said when he got into the league, Drew Brees taught him how to watch film. What you're looking at from the opponents each day, different aspects you're breaking down film of the defense. And Caleb Williams had no idea last season how to watch film. That's why Ben Johnson's going to come in. He's going to turn him into a more professional quarterback. When you watch Caleb Williams, he's got so many bad habits. Footwork, throwing sidearm, everything he does. really is at an amateur level. He looks like a college quarterback who's just kind of a raw talent. And Notre Dame's defense exposed that in South Bend 2 years ago. You remember that game well.
Oh, yeah.
Notre Dame's
Al
defense
Golden,
beat him
baby.
up, made him look bad. Well, that's part of what happened to him in the NFL last year, too. He needs professional coaching. He needs to develop and learn how to be a professional quarterback, and he was far from it as a rookie. And that's why I think you're going to see a much better Bears team on the field this year. Ben Johnson, that coaching staff, like you said, the personnel improvement is one thing, but also the coaching, I think, has a chance to take the Bears to a higher level. That said, I'd still be surprised if the Bears win that division with the Packers, Lions, Vikings, but it's got a chance to be the best division in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, at least certainly from a competitive standpoint, too, from top to bottom. And, you look at the schedule, man, as we saw last week when it was unveiled, a lot of primetime spots for this Chicago team. You open up the season on Monday Night Football. You play the Commanders in the rematch of the Hail Mary game on Monday Night Football. You have that Saturday before Christmas against the Packers, the Black Friday game against the Eagles, and then they play Sunday night, Week 17 against the Niners. So pretty loaded schedule for the Bears. I'll tell you what, when they come to town, there's going to be a lot of Bear fans here in Vegas at the end of September.
To start in Week 1, Vikings at Bears. That's J.J. McCarthy's first start in the NFL. A rookie on the road. The Bears have to win that game in Week 1. Ben Johnson's first game in Chicago.
1.5-point favorites are the Chicago Bears.
I like the Bears in that game. I like them in that game.
We're going to talk to Lou Finicaro, top of the hour. We'll get his thoughts on the 2 hockey series that will get underway later on this week. Hey, just a reminder, folks, before the line moves, the Sharp Plays at sharpplays.com is already there. They don't chase the market. They move it. You're not going to outmuscle billion-dollar sportsbooks or full-time sports bettors on your own, but with Sharp Plays, you don't have to. Once again, check out their website. It's sharpplays.com. Lou Finicaro going to join us top of the hour. Does he like the Florida Panthers to get back to the Stanley Cup final for the 3rd consecutive year? We'll break down some hockey for you next.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.